Ready? All right, we'll now call the city council regular meeting to order. June 24th, 6 p.m. Please rise to the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Invocation given by Councilwoman Brittany McGuire.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we want to thank you for this evening. First and foremost, thank you for everyone that came out, Lord, and for the information that we're about to hear. Lord, I'm asking you to give us clear minds and clear direction and help us to make the absolute best decisions that you would have us make for our town. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May be seated. If you'll please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire.
Here.
Councilmember McCure.
Here.
Councilmember Towler.
Here.
Mayor Anderson.
Here.
You have a quorum. For the record, Deputy Mayor Bernard is absent.
Thank you very much. Now, first, we have the consent agenda. This will be for items 5 through 8. Is there any of these items that council wants to remove? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve the consent agenda C 5 through 8.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire.
Yes.
Councilmember McCure.
Yes.
Councilmember Towler.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Item number 9, this will be the FAA debrief with possible motions. We do have Florida Airport Management with us about the AIPP program, and we also have the interim city manager, Chrissy Hardman. Chrissy, are you going to take the lead here?
Yes, sir. So on June 14th, we met with the FAA, and the team included FAM, Lowell Clary, David Bannard, Nick Clabbers, Melody, and myself. Over that time, the FAA brought up a couple of items that we need to consider, and FAM, as well as our attorneys, will be bringing up those points.
Okay, who's going to go first?
JT, you want to speak to it?
He would love to.
My favorite thing.
Let's give your name and organization for the record.
Yeah. Jonathan Clark, Florida Airport Management. Yes, we were able to meet. It was a very productive couple of hours with senior leadership, FAA senior advisors, almost every member of the compliance department within AFAA. We also, through our federal representation, have received probably half a dozen calls from the FAA administrator, Shanita Griffith, to date. So everybody's excited to move forward. The two big topic items were to certify the bankruptcy opinion and to basically have your certification that we are capable and able to be the sponsor and to manage the grant assurances. And they needed that prior to at least issuing a draft record of decision.
Our understanding was that would be coming from you all. That that confirmation would be coming from your attorney, but the certification will be coming from me with regard to the bankruptcy opinion. But before that happens, though, we have to get the FAA to at least approve the draft of the opinion, because it's been sent to them and they want it. They're going to review it, and they're taking care of that. Barnard's taking care of that.
Okay. That's okay. I thought that the FAA needed the city. The FAA at the end of the day wants to make sure that the sponsor is okay with whatever is presented. So this council or you and David should review that bankruptcy opinion.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
We are.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I'm certifying to ultimately.
Oh, you're okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, but I'm going to get assistance for that.
Okay.
We have bankruptcy attorney at Saxon Gilmore probably use to evaluate it and from our perspective.
So do you have any questions on generating that?
No, I just would ask that. I mean, we probably submitted that draft a few years ago. And so if your firm could turn it around quickly, that would be great.
Well, we need, it's been submitted to the FAA then, and we're waiting for them. And I think we mentioned it on the phone that FAA needs to let us know if that draft meets with the requirements. And if it's okay, then we'll we'll go ahead and certify at that point. But if they want changes to it, then your attorney would have to make those changes. So yeah, we're waiting for that at this moment.
Okay.
Okay, so repeat that. You said you guys were on the phone with the FAA, right?
Right.
But you're waiting on changes from the FAA.
No, we're waiting on them that we sent them a draft of
Right.
an opinion that their bankruptcy attorney put together as to, what would happen
Right.
in the event. And sent that draft with a request that they let us know if that meets with their approval.
So
In
is
which
that-
case, if it does, then we'll get their attorney to finalize it. And then based on the finalized opinion, we'll certify that at that point. But right now, it's just a draft.
And so that draft was discussed on a telephone call?
Yes,
Okay.
I think they understand that, but Dave Bernard said he would check with them on that as well, make sure we get that back. Because obviously we can't certify something still in draft form. It has to be in ultimately final form, but there's no sense in doing final form because you may have to pay for more if, we do that and then they say, okay, this is not acceptable. It's got to go all the way back. Then we start everything all over again with that.
Is Mr. Bernard on Zoom?
Is this something that can be done before July 8th?
I don't think so. That's pretty close.
Lowell Clary is on the Zoom.
Okay. Lowell, do you have anything?
Yeah,
Do you have anything to add?
we've just got a couple of items on their side they need to give a little bit of input on.
When you say
They've had those items. Yes, FAA. They've had those items for some time and we reminded them of that. And Dave Bernard and his team are following up with FAA to make sure they review that time and give us any comments they might have.
So
So as soon as we get those, we'll get them to JT and be sure that they can follow up timely so we can get these things wrapped up. Their goal, I think, is to get this finished up probably by end of summer at the latest. And hopefully sooner because they got some more people retiring that they would like to kind of get this done on the way out the door. So everybody's kind of working in the same direction.
I'm sorry to be clear, you said by the end of when?
End of summer, I would say end of August would be the goal. Yes. And I'm talking signed agreements. So
Okay. But they didn't give you any indication as to when their initial decision would be given on this.
I think they've made their decision. I think it's just a matter of, ticking the dotting the I's, crossing the T's, getting everything in the file complete.
Right,
So that's really what we're doing at this point.
right.
Okay,
I agree.
please continue.
The other item in question was, no, I'm causing a blank. I guess if we could see about Saxon Gilmore actually starting the review process of that draft. I don't believe the FAA is going to have any comments on it to begin with. It's much like the appraisal that we did. At the end of the day, they didn't care what that figure was, as long as we had a methodology to get there and that it was agreed upon between private operator and council.
If the council's okay with getting that started with the possibility of having to redo it, if it changes, then I'll get that done.
What do you think would be the time involved and what do you think would be the?
I don't know. I think that the big opinion that has been done by their attorney. Our attorney, bankruptcy attorney, is just going to basically review it and certify that, we feel that it's sufficient and that the city's in a good position if bankruptcy occurs to take over the facilities and so on.
Okay.
Yeah, the main thing FAA is looking for is that the city can say, hey, if their bankruptcy occurs, that the city can step in and take over the airport.
And how long do you think that your attorney would actually take to review that?
I don't know. I have to contact you. If it's going to take too long, then we'll use somebody else.
Well, obviously the situation that we don't want to be in is that we wait until the last minute and then it takes an additional 2 weeks or something and causes a delay there.
If that's the will of the council, I'll get it started right away.
I have a question. JT, what is your deadline before they pull your funds?
Well, it's not a deadline before they pull the funds, which I think we have a resolution to satisfy that. I believe it's resolution 14.
Okay.
Or maybe that'll get discussed in the same time here. Those funds FDOT will suspend. They're going to put a prohibition against us until we get a modernization of the law, which I believe that resolution that Mr. Burr and Lil Clary put together is on page 150 of your agenda packet today. But kind of the cumbersome point here is we've already submitted the exemptions. Question one of the exemptions are what projects are in motion and what projects are completed. So at the end of the day, we just need to resolve it as quickly as possible.
I think that I need to get that started right away.
All right. So to be clear, do you need a vote on that?
No, I think, I haven't heard anybody.
Is anyone opposed to Saxon going ahead and working on this?
No, like
No.
ASAP.
Yep. No.
Okay.
You're about to ask a question, Bernice?
No, I
Oh.
said I'm not opposed.
Okay.
If I may though, for correspondence with the FAA, could we send the meeting minutes to them to let them know that even though a motion wasn't made, that the city is looking to certify that opinion?
Any opposition to that, Lowell or Jerry?
No, sir.
Go ahead.
The second item that they wanted certified is a letter from the city entrusting us with the asset, given all things considered and the management that we've done and performed. But they would like some documentation from the city stating that you do entrust us to be the sponsor of the airport and that you do entrust us with the grant assurances.
Is that a Lowell or a Jerry item?
I'll take it, Chair. It's really two things. One, BAM saying, hey, certifying that we can do the project. And the city essentially confirming that and saying, yes, they've been doing this already. We're comfortable with that.
Okay. Is that something that we will be doing now or will that be later?
No, we would need to go ahead and do that now.
Okay.
And we don't have to do it tonight. You can have, I would essentially say the city council could direct staff to follow through with that.
Okay.
Because it could be signed by the administrator.
Is any of the council opposed to directing staff to do that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Staff, you have your direction. Anything else to add, Lowell?
No, sir.
Please proceed.
Yeah, the other thing in question was under our procurement of 255065, part of that is financing of the airport. We kind of have two items that we'd like to discuss would be the assignment of leases. One, so that we could execute other projects currently. And then two, I believe Mr. Brown handed you all the gallons of fuel pumped over the last 24-month period. And if we could be shored up on that, that would be great.
I cannot agree with you signing over the leases to them until we have the lease agreement completed. And I think would be a terrible decision.
The lease agreement will be the master agreement that we've been waiting for the FAA to
That's
approve so that we could actually.
And it includes how the leases will be turned over and then turned back if, something happens. Right now, we don't have that.
Okay.
So if you turn over leases now, technically, they would have the leases even if the deal falls through.
Okay.
So, we can't do that.
So and on the issue of the fuel pumped,
I'm okay with that.
so FAM has requested to be reimbursed at the same rate that the previous pumping firm, for lack of a better term, was reimbursed at, which is 55 cents a gallon for everything that they pumped from 4/01/2022 to today. Grand total of roughly $16,385.96. So that's what they're requesting. So that was never a formal part of the agreement before. I think it was probably assumed that this was going to be a very short process and that we wouldn't be sitting here 3 years later. But nevertheless, here we are. So it would be up to the council if we want to reimburse them that 55 cents for the actual labor of going out there and pumping, which could have been all times of the night. Is that?
Yeah, you can see dates and times on that, the extended spreadsheet. A lot of them do happen with Angel flights, 11 PM to 3 AM in the morning.
Yeah, they
Okay.
gave us the short version.
The short version.
Yeah.
We try to keep things simple, of
Yeah.
course.
Mayor, may I make a comment?
Please.
We'd like to verify the amount.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So, and that was the question that I had is, I mean, has city staff been doing this? Was it double effort at any point, or have they
No,
solely
we
been doing it?
don't go pump the fuel, but we track, what's purchased, what's pumped. We track all of that. So we could just verify the numbers.
Yeah, I guess I would ask, is the city's role different than what it was under the last pumping firm that was, that we were reimbursing at that rate? It's kind of,
No, because there was a outside individual who went and pumped the fuel. So,
right.
yeah.
Okay. So we could approve, based upon your review. Okay. And that would be a separate vote, right? Jerry?
Yes.
Does anyone care to have any questions about this, or does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the reimbursement of 55 cents per gallon pending the finance department's review. I second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Were you going to ask a question, Brady?
No.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. You've heard the rebuttal on the assignment of leases, so go from
It
there.
is what it is. We're still here. The only question I have for the board now is, should we do the FAA resolution, or do you want me to come back at that time?
He just
The
wants,
last
he
FAM
wants to
item,
skip down to number 14 on the agenda. Since
Oh.
it has to do with them.
and Lowell's on the call as well.
Got it. Yep. No, I
Yeah.
think that's appropriate. If there's nothing else on that line item number 9.
We're good.
Have you reviewed item 14? You have any issues with it?
Speaking of.
Yeah. Have you reviewed that item 14 and the
Yes,
package?
it's perfect. Yeah, it's a very simple amendment. I think it drives home the public use point. It drives I like the words draconian and out of date in there. And
I love the $10 words.
yeah. I mean, hopefully we can put an economic development piece later or add in, but we'll see how session goes. But as far as policy is taken, I think it's a good task for our legislative delegation to pick up.
Just as a reminder, this council asked me to do this at the last meeting. You asked me when I would get it done. But I said I could get it done in 2 weeks. I actually had it for you in 2 days. So we got it on the,
Appreciate
Right
it.
on.
this is the resolution you need and the bill, I put together the bill that we would like to see. Actually, that was done by, that particular bill was done by Lowell, and he did a good job on it.
Okay. You wanna-
Then we got a lot of input from Lowell and from Dave and Nick with regard to the description and the resolution. So I think it's good to go.
Page 130.
Yep.
You want to read that resolution on the record?
All righty. A resolution of the City Council of Avon Park, Florida, providing for declaration of support for a proposed Florida legislative bill to modify section 332.004 and 332.006 Florida statutes to allow political subdivisions in the state to enter into public-private partnerships for airport operations and still receive FDOT grants as owners. Very, very straightforward.
Okay. So we'll be looking for a motion to approve resolution number 2024-06.
So move.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
I did.
Shelley.
Shelley.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Anything else?
Nope. Thank you all.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
I hate to just ask you this, but I know that we skipped down to number 14, but that's before I was done asking a question about number 9 that we just talked
Okay,
about.
What do you got?
The lease agreement. I'd like to understand why he's saying no to the lease agreement.
Yeah, I wanted to know that too, Mayor.
Assigning the lease agreement you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you sign the lease agreements today, those are lease agreements, then
I had, when he done, Mayor, I had questions for him.
they still want you to stay.
Okay.
So they would have the leases, and I would get all the benefits of the leases, income and so on associated with the leases. And yet we don't have anything that says they would have to give it back to us. Okay, so if this deal fell apart for some reason and nobody signed the lease, then they would still have those leases. They would still get the income and we would not. Unless they were
So,
one volunteer to give that back, which you obviously can't rely on.
no,
So,
I think you tied to the management agreement. So we've always known the AIPP was a tremendous hurdle or task to take on. So even under our Florida statute 255.065 under P3, we were approved as a design, build, finance, operate and manage agreement with us in the city. So just like at the end of that 20-year agreement, if we do not renew that 20-year agreement, regardless of what happens with AIPP, we should still have the authority to execute those leases, be able to finance economic development projects out there, regardless of the AIPP. So, and one would even argue that would even go as far as the airport current fund, because airport revenues must stay at airport. I understand maybe a $1 million check assignment may be a little hard to swallow, but I don't see any legal way outside of perhaps fear, which it could be in writing, that if ever terminated or the city had to step in, that would revert back to the city. Much like the fuel cells.
JT, Chair, if I could,
Yes.
this would require the FAA waiver to be approved, which is part of the AIPP process related to the revenues piece. And it would also require FAA approval. So otherwise it would violate your grant assurances. So it could basically prohibit or cause some of the FAA grants to be pulled. And I would be very cautious about that.
Well, you could also word, thank you, Lowell. You could also word it as the, maybe not, you could still have leasehold rights, I believe FAM could, but you could also, and we've been in here a few times in the last couple of years about the actual cost to operate that airport. And so one could even ask that you increase that monthly management fee to what the lease value is that month without actually assigning the lease, which would also further satisfy our needs, but also further help us help the city get further down the road on realizing its full utility. So currently we're at 15.2. There is no problem with the city of managing that management agreement closer to the value of what is received monthly. So amending the actual monthly fee that reflects a closer true value of what those rents would not incur or, go against what Jerry Burr and Lowell Clary has just identified, if that's the fear. Which we would totally.
JT, I would concur with that. If you did it through the management fee, that would be acceptable.
Okay,
I
awesome.
would still want to run it past Dave Bernard, make sure that he doesn't have any issue with regard to how it's going to affect the FAA approval as well.
I mean, just like the 10,000 a month or 15,200 a month, the FAA has not been a part of that negotiation between the sponsor and the private operator. So they didn't know that we changed it to 15.2. They didn't know that our original agreement was at 10,000 a month. So there would be no notice really that our fee, that our service that we're providing is now commensurate of the fee that is paid monthly.
Yeah. So to be clear, you're wanting the money that is given to the city through rents out there to basically be turned over to you guys through raising the management fee. Is that
Correct.
right?
And that would be beautiful.
Why would we do that?
Well, they would be more commensurate of the value that we're doing. And it would also, if I would say if the FAA had any doubt, even after certifying that we're okay, that they already entrust us with the fuel cells, they already entrust us with the actual monthly rent roll revenues to perform our tasks that we need to
So
perform.
in the event the AIPP did not go through,
They would remain the same for the extension or for the remainder of the management agreement. And, we have to do our annual budget anyway. So if the AIPP didn't go through, it would just be the management fee would be no greater than the value of the rent rolls collected per month.
and do you have any idea what those rents are?
Yeah, they're right around 20 to 23,000 a month now after our increase. We waited 2 years to, actually increase that. So
Mhm.
essentially it'd be covering a gap of 5 to 8,000, but I don't know why you couldn't write it in the agreement that it cannot go above what is recorded per month, and we would still have to record those revenues with the city finance department.
Can I
But
ask
in,
you
oh, go ahead.
Well, in our conversation, I thought the whole purpose of being assigned the leases was more of like a clout type thing to attract future leases. So if the leases are not assigned to you, how does that help attract future leases?
So, well,
I thought
Th-
that was the purpose of
that,
assigning.
that is
the
the purpose.
leases.
And that's why we want to get to the assignment of leases, because you can securitize those, much like you can securitize the CRA through long-term debt that is structured appropriately. But still, at the end of the day, we have a DoD contractor that would like to move in. They're partly because of our bombing range next door, and we're trying to facilitate a very nice hangar with skiffs and the whole 9 yards. But having a better financial security that if we have to use those funds, they're not to date, because that hangar is still going to belong with the city of Avon Park. That would help alleviate our credit facility needed to do that. So we couldn't structure long-term debt with that because we don't have the leases, but we
Right.
can put that money to better use.
But is the DoD still wanting to do a lease like that with you not being assigned
Uh,
the lease? Essentially, the city's assigned the lease.
The city was assigned the
Like,
lease.
are all these leases that are, in the works or whatever, are they riding on you guys assigning them, or they still want to come here regardless of if you guys are here?
Great question. Most of them do not want to move forward unless the sponsorship goes through. But the monthly fee would still be more commensurate to the service being provided at the airfield.
TJ, is it okay? TJ, I got a question. So what position does it put you and the airport in if this lease doesn't get signed by a certain time? What happens?
I don't believe failure is an option, and then you go to plan D, E, C, D, E, F, G to make sure it wins.
I'm just saying, do you
Yeah.
lose any kind of funding?
What's that?
Would you lose any kind of funding?
Well, we already are accepting the fact now that FDOT backed out of the 11th hour that we have a prohibition. So the FAA has offered supplements in the meantime, but those are issues that are not going to be solved at today's meeting. But yeah, we could go ahead and move forward with the planning and design and engineering with that added capital that we have each month. So if we do come up to the 11th hour, we already have mechanical, electrical, plumbing documents ready to submit, or FDOT certification on that project. But it's kind of hard to marry those two, given, I don't want to say the limbo that we're in, but without any. I will make sure, well, I'll do the best of our ability that we will not lose a single dollar that the airport has access to.
To clarify, Bernice, once we sign the AIPP, FDOT will not give us the funds. This is not if we hurried up and signed it tomorrow, then the FDOT funds are gone tomorrow. If we sign it in a month, then they're gone in a month. That's why we did that legislation change. That's why we proposed that. Correct?
That's correct. But the FAA did offer that we could ask for a supplement. So we'll have to ask per project, but they may cover FDOT's shortfall in the,
Right.
in the interim.
Trying to find funding other places to
That's
still get
correct.
it done.
But the amount of lift that we've done to date warrants a larger monthly fee. The assignment of leases would help get us there faster, whether that's through long-term debt strategies or shoring up the engineering that we need to even do the 3 turning lanes on the highway. So, and we may even come out of pocket for those. And Lowell knows that FDOT doesn't want to do a thing until it's in writing. But I mean, if there's a will, there's a way, so we'll sort it out.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me that, it's a lot of talk to make for a real simple solution is that you're just asking for more money per month. That's really all this is about. And so it seems like a tough position for me to be in, that to just say, yeah, you need $25,000 a month more, or 23, or whatever that number is, when the city's already getting that money. And so if you're saying that money should be used for a particular project, then tell us what project, and I'm sure the city would have no problem writing a check for that. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't seem like it benefits the city at all to put that in your hands if in 2 months it's going to be done anyway. And if it isn't done in 2 months, then this is an entirely different conversation that we're having.
Right.
So I don't really see the benefit, I guess.
Right.
I certainly see the benefit of added income per month for you guys, but from the city side, no offense, but looking at it purely from the city's point of view, I don't see how it necessarily benefits the city. And if you're saying that there's a project that needs to be done and that money needs to be used for it, then identify it. And I think the board would go for it.
What you need the money for. So that's what we want to know.
I mean, it could go for a myriad of things. I don't want to go back in negotiations and try to prove our value on a monthly basis.
No, that's not what we're
Whether or
asking.
not the value or the benefit to the city is worthwhile for having FAM here. It's not worth debating that over a $5,000 or $8,000 a month amount. So I don't know. I think that our work today, the work today and the money that we spent today justifies that increase. But again, that's
So
Our
you,
side's-
you want the increase basically to cover your guys' overhead, like the
It's-
owners of FAM?
it's
or
not
is it- Or is there a specific?
it's not necessarily overhead, just even on this bill to even get the economic development. It's not necessarily that it's going to retain and FAM, but we spent several $100,000 just in lobbying costs for the last 2 years worth of getting projects approved by FDOT or FAA, or even funding the grant portion for the AIPP due diligence dollars, right? So we came up with that 40 grand back September 2021. And so it's just, whether it closes tomorrow or whether it closes in 5 years from now, I think we've already shown that value given the amount of money that we're talking about.
But once the AIPP process finishes, you guys are assigned those leases anyway.
We're signing the leases anyways.
So I just had it in my head and it's gone now. Never mind.
I bet it was a brilliant thought.
It was brilliant. Yeah.
You wouldn't be kissing up, would you?
No.
Just a little bit.
All right.
So, okay.
Any
I'm-
action on this
it's
or what?
back. It's back. So you said the disadvantage of the lease would give them the disadvantage to signing this lease agreement would give them control if okay, that's where it was. The AIPP, would this lease agreement push them along or would it deter them from?
I think it just,
Because Jerry said that they already had a decision that, right? They were just waiting on
Well,
the,
It appears, they didn't say that, but it just appeared that they had, most of the questions they had were not related to serious issues that would cause them to make a change. That's why, Lowell, think that that's the case, but they have more experience than I do, so you
But
might
then
well
Lowell-
ask him that question.
But then Lowell said in order to get the assignment of leases, part of a component that's in the AIPP process has to be approved to get the assignment of leases regardless. And that's
Yeah.
already part of that component, right? Isn't that what Lowell said?
Yeah.
So basically, you're still waiting on the AIPP, whether they do that one document or the entire thing. Approval wise.
so if I understood your question, yeah, the exemption 1 would have governance over assignment of leases. As Lowell just stated, a change in the management fee per month would not cause any change in the decision-making. I would just say that if the FAA was told that already, that not only you're all certifying us in a letter, that you're also saying that, yeah, we're ready to go. I mean, it's kind of an action more than words type point.
so it would show, the lease agreement signature would show good faith on our end.
No, he's not talking about doing the assignment of leases. JT's not talking about that anymore. He's talking about just giving him more money for the management
Oh, I
each
see, I
month.
see. Okay. Okay.
He's not talking about signing anything.
All right.
He-
I'm not prepared to take any action on that particular issue. I think that we've, the city has very much shown its support for this project, from the beginning. So if the FAA doesn't understand that the city supports the project by now, then they're never going to understand. So,
Like-
We did sign a letter, right, already?
Right.
Yeah, we
And we're
voted on
sending our
that.
minutes and all that stuff too.
Sitting in minutes.
Mhm.
All right. Anything else? Seeing none?
So what are we gonna do with, are we just gonna wait for the FAA approval or?
Well, we've done lots of things
I
tonight.
know, but where does it go from here?
Right now, we are waiting. Right.
so-
Saxon is going to look over the,
We have some stuff that we have to provide them still that we discussed and that, once they have that, then we're hopeful that they'll then give us the record decision and off we go.
I'm hoping they have it back 5 days after we get our certification and the letter to them.
Absolutely.
You told me to go ahead and proceed.
Right.
And we'll get that done as quickly as possible.
Okay.
I'll ask them for a date by which they can get it done. If it's got to be too late, then we'll
Find
find
somebody
somebody
quicker.
else.
Very good.
Sounds good. You
All right.
okay with that, JT?
Yeah, well, I have to be. I mean, this is part of, thank you for asking, but this is part of the P3 process is we got two things that we absolutely need today. So thank you, council, for doing that. Thank you, Lowell, for writing the resolution to the bill, which will not just help Avon Park, but many communities. So until next meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, back to item number 10. This will be the first reading of ordinance number 05-2024. Scroll back up here.
One little touch and this thing goes crazy.
All right, Jerry, you want to read the
7.
ordinance
Thank you.
05-2024?
An ordinance of the city of Avon Park, Florida, amending the official zoning map of the city of Avon Park, Florida, specifically amending one parcel of land comprising of plus or minus 0.41 acres on property located at 25 Lawton Street, Avon Park, Florida, 33825, from the zoning of R1A, low-density residential, to R1, low-density residential, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date.
Okay. All right, we have CFRPC with us tonight. We'll give your name and organization for the record.
Absolutely. Good evening, Mayor and board members. My name is Stephanie Von Pileski Bush. I'm with the Central Florida Regional Planning Council. And this is, I have my little, you can go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. So you can go to the next one. So tonight we have a rezoning of one parcel of land at 25 Lawhon Street. As you can see, it's the yellow rectangle there on the aerial.
Can I pause real quick? I have to share it on Zoom.
Sure. We're good. Thanks. Okay. So as you can see, it's the yellow parcel there. And the application is to rezone the parcel from R1A to R1. And this would be to divide the parcel to allow 2 units instead of just one. And on the next slide, you can see the existing future land use is low density residential. And then the next slide, the existing zoning is R1A. And then on the next slide, we've got the proposed zoning of R1. And then the next slide. There you go. Okay, so this is our little chart of the land use compatibility. So currently R1A, the minimum lot width is 65 feet. And R1, the minimum lot width is 50 feet. And in R1A, the minimum lot size is 10,000 square feet. And in R1, the minimum lot size is 7,000 square feet. And so under the proposed change, if this is approved, the resulting lot width, there would be 2 lots that would be 80.5 feet wide, which is wider than even the minimum in R1A. And then the resulting lot area would be 8,877, which is just in between those two. On the next slide, is a tiny bit hard to read, but basically what it shows is, so what we're trying to show here is that the lots surrounding this parcel or the 2 proposed parcels are either smaller or of the same size as what's proposed. So as you can see to the west, there is the lot width is 80 feet, and then east, those 3 parcels are 75, or 2 parcels are 75 feet wide, and then the next parcel over is 60 feet wide. And there are other parcels sort of diagonally southeast, and then across Lawhon to the north and then northeast, that are about like the similar sizes. And so on the next slide, so we feel this is consistent with the comprehensive plan. And so it's consistent with low density residential future land use, and it promotes the opportunity for additional housing to meet the city's housing needs. And it's located in an area where infrastructure is available to support the new housing. And it would just be an increase of one additional single family dwelling unit. And so it will have a de minimis impact on the surrounding area. There will be, so it would end up with 2 new houses on that street.
Mhm.
And then the next slide. These are your motion options. And I think maybe Randy was going to have some comments also, but I'm also available for questions.
Randy, anything to add?
Yes, I wasn't here during the P and Z meeting where I don't know if it was unanimous, but maybe one short of unanimously got shot down. I don't understand that logic. I'm on these streets every day, numerous times a day down that area. So I went ahead and did a little research to be a little bit more informed on giving you an opinion. I took 14 properties on that street and the street directly behind it, which is Elder Street. And I looked at the assessed value of the taxes, and then I looked at what they're actually being taxed. And it's almost a joke. 7 of those 14 houses are legally non-conforming lots of record. So it's not like you're going into a brand new subdivision and you're doing spot zoning. And most of those houses are wood frame, dilapidated. Not all of them. I'm not making a blanket statement, but I have cases on more than one on those 2 streets. It blew my mind when they discarded this. I've talked to Mr. Uribe. He's built a brand new house at the corner of Lutila and 64. I'm sure anybody that goes by the high school has seen it. He builds a quality home. You get 2 homes instead of one it's a plethora of pros. I can't figure any cons yet.
You got it done in about 4 or 5 months too.
Yes, he doesn't play around, but he builds a nice house. So you have 2 new taxable parcels that I guarantee you go from a range of 235,000 on assessed value down to a low of $65,000. That's just assessed value on a property appraisal site. That's not what they're getting taxed. You got some of these houses on those 2 streets that are paying taxes on $15,992. So you're now looking at $250,000 homes going in there. What is that going to do for the community? It's going to give you capacity fees for water, sewer, fire, garbage, taxable. It's going to help the area. I mean, you may not do comps if you're trying to sell a house in there it's not really apples to apples. But when you have 7 of the 14 lots that are the lots on Elder I looked at are right behind this lot. So it's not across the street where it's not going to be seen. It makes no sense. You're talking about, like Stephanie said, you go from, they're over 8,000 square feet. That area, yeah, it's R1A, but there's half of the houses aren't conforming to R1A.
Sure.
So I didn't understand. I don't know what the rationale was, why they turned it down, but I'm hoping that, and I know he's not here. I know he was going to be here. So it's not like he's not interested. I think he was beat down after the P and Z meeting, honestly, talking to him. So I'm hoping that from a obvious standpoint, common sense standpoint, that maybe we come to a different conclusion tonight. That's it.
I agree. The particular contractor in question here, he did build a house right there on 64, pass by it almost every day. Beautiful house. Like I said, got it done in a matter of a few months, whereas a lot of contractors are taking several years. He certainly has his ducks in a row, builds a very quality house. I think he had it sold before it was even done. You're looking at a project that would breathe a lot of life in that particular block. I went by that block a couple of days ago. I mean, those houses got to be, built in the 30s, 40s, 50s. They're very old. Looks like it hasn't been a lot going on that block for a very long time. This would breathe life to that whole area for sure. And I think it falls in the vision of what we aim to do here, which is to invite people into Avon Park and to help develop Avon Park. So I think that we need to be a good partner for them to help them do that.
Yes, sir. We need affordable housing. I mean, it's plain and simple. We don't need more subsidized housing. We need workforce affordable housing. And this, to me, would kind of fit that vision.
Sure.
I have a question, Mayor, for Ms. Stephanie.
Go ahead.
Ms. Stephanie, what was the reason why the P and Z board voted it down?
They thought that it was spot zoning is what
I'm sorry.
they thought it was spot zoning.
Okay.
And if you just look at the map, I mean, there's a planning term, spot zoning. And that really just means like if you had rezoned that parcel to say industrial in the midst of all that residential, then that's spot zoning. But because it's still residential and it's still low density residential, as a planner, we don't consider that to be spot zoning because it's still residential and it still matches. It's not even multifamily, you know, it still matches the surrounding area.
Or throw in a multi-story high-rise apartment complex.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
This certainly fits into that landscape that's there.
Right. And so I kind of got the feeling they couldn't quite get past that idea, but
They just said that there was a couple other, they said if we allow this person to, you know, change to R1, then so-and-so down the street may want to change theirs to R1. But if you look at the sizes of all of the lots, even for R1, it's got to be a minimum width of 50. A majority of those other lots are only 75. So even if they tried to switch to R1, you still can only get one dwelling unit on that 75-foot lot. So the part of spot zoning or whatever, there's not hardly any of those folks that could even, you know,
right. They still have to meet,
request to get it changed.
right. They still have to meet all the requirements. I mean,
Sure.
and Mr. Uribe is not asking for anything smaller than what's permitted in the R1.
Sure.
So,
And I think part of it too, I mean, no offense to people on the board, but a lot of them have been here for a very, very long time. And so they remember what happened further down on Lake Avenue with all those apartment complexes that ended up getting sold piece by piece. And so it turned into a big mess because the developer they got special zoning and they built all these apartments in there. And then they ended up selling them to individuals rather than keeping them as, a housing development. And they've been dilapidated over the years, and it's been a problem for a lot of people. And a lot of people, that's a thorn in a lot of people's sides. So I think that's part of it, that they kind of envision what happened all those years ago, but this is a completely different
Right.
scenario.
it is. And there's one lot that's directly south of this lot that's the same size. So potentially, yeah, maybe that person could come in and ask you for a rezoning. You know,
Sure.
that would be up to you. But they would still have to request that.
Right.
And then the other thing that I always look at too, because they send letters out to all of the neighbors.
Right.
And if the neighbors don't like it, they come and tell you they don't like it. I've been at every P and Z meeting and something that's going to be contentious in that neighborhood, they're going to let you know. But nobody came to the P and Z meeting to speak out against it. I'm assuming nobody came this evening to speak out against it. No. So I feel like it would even be welcome in that neighborhood.
And no calls, no emails, anything like that?
That would be directed to them.
Could I add one more thing? And just my last response into what Stephanie just said, the lot she's talking about is actually one of the locations I have. I'm not going to call it by name, but I can tell you it's got a frontage of 161 feet and assessed value of 89,911 and taxed at $15,992. So that's, yes, they have a lot of land, but what's sitting on it is not so pretty.
Was there a house here prior that was torn down, or
No, it was vacant.
I don't
It's
think
vacant.
so.
This parcel is
I
vacant.
noticed it had already been cleared or
Yeah.
Yes.
I noticed that too. Yeah.
any other questions on this?
And the contractors own this property. I think he said for like a year, because I talked to him after the meeting too, because I was just kind of curious. So it's not like a willy-nilly decision. Oh, let me just throw this up there. He's
Right.
thought about it and he's been there. And I feel like he's proven himself with that other house. I drove by the house he built and it's a nice house, but it looks like, a lot of people in Avon Park could afford it,
Sure.
type of a deal. And it was done quickly.
Is
Yep.
that the one that's catty-cornered from the Catholic Church?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so we're looking for a motion to approve ordinance number 5-2024.
So move.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second the motion. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Towler,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. This will be first reading of ordinance number 6-2024, be a vacation of right of way.
It's an ordinance vacating and closing the right of way of within the property of Avon Park Apartments in the city of Avon Park, Florida, at the request of Sloan Engineering Group on behalf of adjacent property owners, providing for an effective date. This came to us as request through Sloan. This cuts right through the middle of their property. This Avon Park Apartments, they plan on building, and they'd like to have it closed, I assume, in order to accommodate their plans for building.
Okay.
For the record, I believe the engineer is in the audience to answer any questions. Mr.
Okay.
Medina.
Sir, could you please approach? Let's give your name and organization for the record.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Sam Medina with Sloan Engineering Group, 150 South Woodlawn, Bartow. I am here on behalf of the owner and the prospective developer. This is the old, what used to be an orange grove in between West State Street and Cornell Street. The right-of-way itself was never developed. It was always been a grove. We actually didn't realize that until the prospective developer started to get title work on the property. If you look on the property appraiser, it doesn't actually show that right of way that actually cuts through, which would be the extension of Hall Street. But there is a right of way there. So we did obtain no objection letters from the utilities. I believe one of the ones was a contingent letter from Duke Energy. There was an overhead electric line that fed the old well pump there. We have since paid that invoice, and on my way to this meeting, I confirmed that overhead line is now removed. So that was the only comment they had in their conditional letter. Happy to stand for any other questions that you may have.
Any questions?
Are we able to ask who the property owner is?
We can ask.
Yes, it's there's actually two owners. It's Elsa Con Trust and C. Mike Cox. They're trustees. That the property is currently under contract to be sold to a developer, JLC, who does apartment projects throughout the state and the Southeast. So I'm here on behalf of both. The current owner is like I said, under contract to sell to the developer.
And that's what the developer is gonna do, build apartment complex?
Yes. Yeah, we're zoned for we're currently proposing 80 units in 5 buildings.
Okay. 80 units. Will there be any common areas there, or will this be multiple story? Or
yes, they're going to be 2-story buildings, and there is a clubhouse and quite a bit of green space area planned for the community. We have submitted site plans to the city, and those are currently under review.
Okay.
And do you know what the income is?
I don't have that information. I know it is affordable housing that they're trying to target.
Okay. Do you know the total acreage of the property?
It's approximately 8 acres.
8 acres. Okay. I assume
Don't
Jason.
grow with the right of way that's vacated,
Okay.
but yes.
I assume Jason's gonna talk about the site plan. Is that maybe? Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
Hello, Jason Atkinson, Public Works Director. We took a look at this, and this community is likely going to get served by a master meter, and everything within their property is going to be theirs. So we have no intention to use a right of way. So the vacation's fine with us. We're good to go.
Okay.
Right.
Is there any capacity issue with the city? They have capacity there?
No, they were part of the calculation that we had in the past. So there's going to be that. And we'll end up entering to agreement with them, but similar to what we're doing with Grand Oaks.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll be fun.
Any idea what the capacity fee for something like that would be?
Not at this time. I gotta take a look at a couple more calculations and I can come back and tell you.
Fair to say tens of thousands, probably.
Oh,
Well, if there's 80 and then you can go times 2,100, then you're somewhere around, 170,000, something like that. And if that's not taken in, we'll see what else may come up.
Sure.
When we have a discussion about utilities.
To it.
So it's a significant improvement to the city.
Yes,
Is the point
it
I'm
is.
trying to make.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
Anything else, Dan? Okay. One last question. Will it be a gated community?
At this time, the developer is not proposing any gates or any restriction to access.
So will there be driveways around the property? I'm assuming.
Correct. There'll be two main access points, essentially where Hall Street ends and then a loop road internally.
As the developer decide what they're going to do with regard to the Live Local Act, and then I know that was an open question at some point.
I'm not sure. I don't have the information on that.
I know they have applied for tax credits and all of those things.
Yes.
Just my involvement with AHAC, I've heard of the project, so
Okay.
I believe they were chosen for that project.
Correct. I know that they applied for it, but I'm not handling the specific details of that.
And then they also applied, I don't remember the number right off the top of my head. It seems like it's like 360 something thousand from the county, I believe.
Yeah. Yes.
Is this the old Con Citrus Grove?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, how many interests did you say?
Two access points,
One on
two driveways. Yep.
Hall Street and other where?
All in South Florida.
South Florida.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Any other questions? Anything to add? Seeing none. Do we have a motion to approve ordinance number 06-2024 for the first reading?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Towler,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
motion passes.
One note, the last item and the one before were first readings. There will be a second reading that will be a public hearing. So any, neighbors or anyone wanting to speak on this, they can certainly do so at our next meeting. Item number 12, this will be resolution number 2024-04.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Avon Park, Florida, initiating the process pursuant to 171-203 Florida statutes for negotiating an interlocal service boundary agreement, inviting Highlands County and the City of Sebring to participate, identifying issues to be negotiated, providing for directions to the city clerk, and providing for an effective date.
At long last, we're making somewhere with this.
Yeah, so what this basically is trying to arrange a territory for the city to expand into and for Sebring to expand into. Staff got together and talked about this as a group. We thought the line would be reasonable and fair to everybody. And put that in here as one of the attachments. Now, that doesn't mean that we'll, immediately try to shoot for that area, but we might do it like a phase. But this just opens negotiations. Ultimately, there will be an interlocal agreement between the parties, hopefully, if we are able to come to an agreement to get this done. And it really is important because we want to take care of some of the annexation issues that we have. We have one property that really wants to build, but they can't, because they have to get our water and sewer. In order to do that, they have to annex in, but they can't annex in because if they did, then they create an enclave, which is prohibited by law. And the county objected to it 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. And so we're trying now to with this, it doesn't matter what the character of the property is, whether it creates an enclave or not, we can annex and we'll provide services. There's also some areas that the county has sent us that they already clearly are enclaves. We'll be able to include those in this annexation agreement or an interlocal agreement as being getting annexed. So that's the purpose of this, to get this going. And so that we don't waste a lot of monies on facilities that are not going to be necessary for an area we're not going to serve in the future anyway.
Right.
I think we got Jason and
Right, Jason Agassiz, Public Works Director. So we're definitely for this agreement. We have areas for budgeting purposes. We want to get out, try to establish a line to know exactly where we're going to. We do have areas that we're getting up close to almost where we may pass each other and utilities with Sebring. So when this was brought forward, we thought this was a great idea. Helps us out with the budgeting and getting the water mains where we need to get it, force mains and whatnot with pump stations. So we do have our utility master plan we're trying to follow, but this gives us a good line and kind of establishes where we already have things, where city of Sebring has where they have their utilities and a little bit room for them to grow, but what's beneficial for us, and kind of establish a framework of what we as a city wants to do going forward.
So this would help to establish our long-term final borders of what Avon Park will one day be.
To the south, correct?
Up-
Yeah,
up
and we're
against
pretty much almost landlocked, right, to
Right,
the
right.
county to the north. So, yeah, puts us right where we need to be.
So would this eventually get drawn all the way to the county line going north or what?
It can go as far as we can agree, but ultimately if we can't end up serving it, then you lose that area anyway. So we try to do it in modest parcels and then renegotiate these periodically in the future. But, try to get at least this, to me, it seemed like a no-brainer to try and work this out with Sebring and the county with regard to you going south. Because like I said, you can't go north, as he mentioned. You go south and you build a 12-inch pipe up to the area where they're going to be serving it. You just wasted money on a 12-inch pipe when you could have maybe done an 8-inch pipe.
Right.
So, and I think we'll find out, they can't, ultimately when it's done, we'll have a very precise description. It has to be done with, at least the, county strap numbers and so on in it. This is not precise done. It's just basically a drawing on a map at this
Right.
point.
Has there been discussions with Sebring or has it all been with the county?
Been with the county so far. I did try to call Sebring. I didn't get a response back. Mark said he'd spoken to him when he was here, about the possibility. So, I don't think it'll be a shock to them, but either way, they can participate or not participate. Hopefully, they'll see it the same way we do. It's why waste money on facilities that are unnecessary.
Sure. Very good. Anything else to add from staff?
No, we're fine. That's
Any-
good. If
any
you need
questions Any questions for staff?
Not for staff. I'm just gonna ask Jerry, is that gonna be a follow-up again on your behalf with the city of Sebring?
Yeah, once we send this resolution out, we deliver this to them, then they have a period of time by which they can respond to this, and then basically we just set up a meeting. I've already spoke to the county attorney, and they're willing to meet. I don't know specifically about this, but they want to meet to try and resolve the issues of the enclaves that they want to get rid of. And there's actually a street that they want to also get rid of and give us, that they are in areas that makes absolute sense. There's no reason why the county should have to go through the city in order to serve an area that's still county. So, it's, I think everybody will ultimately be pleased with the results, so long as everybody negotiates in good faith.
Sure. Very good. Do we have a motion to approve resolution 2024-04?
So move.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Towler,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Item number 13, this will be resolution number 2024-05.
Okay, so as with the previous bill, you asked me to put together this resolution, or you asked me to get with the legislature with regard to getting this a bill that would change the law such that we could give the CRA responsibilities back to a independent CRA board. And that's what this does. So this is similar to the one we did for the FAA statute. I did this actually before that one. And otherwise it kind of speaks for itself.
Okay, any questions?
So this isn't saying that we are giving it back to them. This is just clarifying the language, and then whether we do or we don't is decided at a later time.
That's right. This will just provide us the authority to do so.
And we'll need to read that resolution into the record.
Didn't you just read it?
This
Yeah.
one, not yet.
I didn't read it. A resolution of City Council of Avon Park, Florida, providing for declaration of support for proposed Florida legislative bill to allow cities to transfer CRA management from the city council sitting as a CRA commission to an independent board sitting as a CRA commission.
Chrissy not letting us get by with anything.
Yep. Good for her.
Just waiting in the wings.
All right. Do we
Mr.
have,
J- I have a question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Jerry,
Yes.
I heard Brittany question. So if we get it, we just pretty much, for lack of a better term, we just applying for it, right?
Right.
Then once we get it, we can sit on it as long as we want to as the
Well,
council.
the statute will be changed for anybody that wants to do this at that point. It just didn't make any sense to me that it only went one way,
Uh-huh.
that you couldn't go the other way, other direction. And, but that's the way it is. And, so I'm providing the Attorney General's opinion that we got, 2 years ago on that same question. And they agreed with me that, you could only go one way based on what the statute says now. So after this, you'll have the ability to give it to them, but you're not required to do it.
Okay. Okay.
all right. Do we have a motion to approve resolution 2024-05?
Make a motion to approve D13 for resolution 2024-05.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Please call a roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Item number 15, this will be a subordination of city utility interest, granting mayor authority to sign.
So the county has asked us to sign this document that's produced by the FDOT, subordinating our interest with regard to utilities, and in particular an easement that interferes with their ability to expand a road. And the problem arose that I didn't like the document. The document is just very, very vague. It costs a lot to move your lines. So if for some reason, normally, if you have your lines in the state right of way or county right of way, and they expand the road or they redo the road and make it deeper, and dig deeper into it, and you have to move your lines, and that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars or more. This particular situation, it's not as large as that. It's a very small postage stamp type area. But nonetheless, we don't want to have to move our pipes and our equipment out of the easement without getting a new easement given to us, and the state pays for it. And the document was just not clear to me that it stated that as it should be stated, but the county's here as well, not to speak to this.
Melanie Culpepper, Project Manager, Transportation for the county.
Yes, ma'am.
If you can hear me. So if you're looking at your drawing, the attachment, there should be a sketch, and the property that is outlined in bold is the property that we're talking about. Your easement is a little section of that. It's hashed. There's like dashed lines in there.
Mhm.
So the turn lane that is there now was put in, and this right of way is for that turn lane that we're trying to give to DOT. They built the turn lane. The city owns the property now. We got it from another owner so that we could put a turn lane in because it wasn't safe. And they're going to be doing a traffic light, but the right of way is for that turn lane that is already constructed. So for us to dedicate the right of way of 27 with the turn lane to DOT, they require a subordination from the city for the utility that is there. The subordination does have language in it that, if you all have to do any work, the DOT will allow you to do that work within the right of way. it also says that if they require now, speaking with your attorney, because it's part of the same paragraph, it is a little confusing. It says that if DOT requires you to move the lines, that they will pay to have it moved, but at the beginning of the paragraph, it talks about if you all are doing construction. So it does make it a little confusing, but I don't at this point, of course, down the road, it could change, but the turning lane is already there. I don't anticipate any future construction or anything at that location that would need utilities moved.
The document you have in your package is as changed by me. Now, I'll just simply say that DOT doesn't like to have their documents changed. So, but I just couldn't accept it the way it was. So we may hear from this again, but my perspective is this is fair to both the DOT and to the city. It's properly drawn the way I made changes to it.
Okay, I apologize. I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's in the package.
I'll look at the package.
Yeah, and you're right. That's one of my bigger problems was the fact that you're talking in one context, and then in that context, you're saying, well, we'll pay for it if we don't approve it.
Right.
But that's not what I'm concerned about. My problem is if you do something, if the DOT does something in the right of way, are we going to be protected from having to move it at our expense and get another easement on top of that? So and we are giving something up already by simply saying that we'll follow FDOT's rules regarding the how work is done in the right of way. In other words, we'll be part of the right of way at that point, and so we'll have to follow their rules with regard to modifications to. Not that I expect a lot to be done there, but Jason also reviewed this and he can speak to that. But I just couldn't accept the document the way it was written. It's terrible.
So then basically what we need to do tonight is just give the authority to have the mayor sign what you've corrected.
Right.
And then it moves on to the county or FDOT? FDOT.
Well, and county would get it and they would give it to FDOT.
Right.
Okay. And then so FDOT will give their seal of approval or not and
Or
send
not.
it back to the
That's
county and then back to us. Okay.
I just wanted to prepare you for that possibility because I know that state agencies don't like their documents changed.
How dare you?
So Jerry, do you expect them to approve it or not?
I do expect them to prove it. I don't think they will, but I expect it. I
Okay,
expect them
so
to.
you don't think that they will though?
I just simply say my experience in working with cities and governments in 32 years as I have, the state agencies do not like you changing any of their documents. Now I have succeeded in the past in changing documents, but mostly, there was just screaming, this is really bad. This one's not screaming it, it's simply saying it. Okay. And so they're going to.
So the worst that could happen is they would come back with your same verbiage, but in their words.
Right.
Okay.
Right. They may even accept what some of the things that I say and then not others, in which case we'll look at it and consider it again. But it's a process.
Yep. Well, the point is we just need to keep it going because at the end of the day, we're trying to make this roadway safe.
That's right.
We have a lot of semis coming in and off that need to be protected. So
Yeah, we want to work with them best we can, but not without giving up any rights.
anything to add, Jason?
I concur with what Jerry said and what was said here. I think we're protected. I believe we're protected from what I read. So FDOT does want you to follow their rules when you're in their right of way. But what's it states is that if they're going to move it, then it'll be at their expense, not ours. So I feel comfortable with it.
Very good. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So do we need a motion to approve?
Agreement as changed by me.
All right. Is there a so moved?
So move.
All right, we have so moved. Is there a second? We have a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Fowler,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I'll send it to you with the signature on I'll send you a good document, with it that had red lines in it, and then she can use the red lines to show them what we changed.
Very good. Thanks. Item number 16, discussion with possible motion. This will be opioid settlement expenditures. Melody?
So as you are aware, we entered into an agreement in May of 21 to receive opioid settlement funding from the state of Florida. We have so far received about 17,000 for the first 2 years. They are asking us to have a plan in place to spend the money. I have reached out to cities in Polk County, and Polk County, they all did an interlocal agreement, all the municipalities with the county, and gave the funding to the county. I reached out to Penny at the city of Sebring, and she said that they tried to get an interlocal agreement with Highlands County, but Highlands County refused it. So they just sent the money back, refused to accept it. So the problem is there are so many requirements for what you can and can't spend it on, and requirements for the bookkeeping side of it. You have to follow all the rules, and it's almost impossible for the amount of money that we get.
Yeah, you can spend, tens of thousands of dollars of staff time trying to administer a grant we're getting 17,000 on, and we don't even know what we can spend it on except a very few things. It doesn't give us a wide variety of things. They're very narrow. So I agree with her. I think, just put it back in the pool and let some large county or city that can utilize the money, utilize it.
Agreed. What do you need from us to do that?
Make the motion.
Do we have a motion to give the money back?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mayor, I got a question.
We have a motion. We do have to have a second.
Okay.
Anyone willing to make a second? I'll second the motion. Go ahead with your question.
We requested for this money?
Well, the
was
possibility was sent to us, and
Something that
we-
earned due to the settlement.
no, it's based on your population size. Yeah. It's not necessarily, the things that have happened in the city of Avon Park.
Was it just something that was just given to the city of Avon Park, or at some point we had to request for it?
We did, this was happened all before we made it on
Yeah.
board, so I'm a little confused on it too.
Yeah, no, so this was offered to us a few years ago, and we decided we'd go ahead and accept it. And but I think what she's saying is that basically the administration of it is basically a beast compared to the amount of money we're getting and what we could spend it on now. Now that we know what it could be used for, at the time
Yeah.
we didn't.
We had no idea how much money it was going to be or what we could use it for. Now we do know what we can use it for, and it's basically zero. So, and it's also a very small amount of money, whereas it could have been who knows how much.
And it was a lawsuit against pharmaceutical companies in the state of Florida.
Yep.
So it really had nothing to do with us anyway.
No,
No, that was really for overselling and
Right.
correct.
alleged.
So you called Polk County and they refused it?
The municipalities in Polk County
Mhm.
all got together and did an interlocal agreement and gave the money to the county so the county can give it to who they think.
But
the-
our county was not interested.
Our county was not interested. I didn't contact them, but Penny, the finance director at Sebring, contacted them, and they didn't even want it.
And so if we were to accept the money, we couldn't give it to a county, not necessarily our county, but we couldn't give it to a county?
We would have to go into an interlocal agreement
Uh-huh.
with whoever we gave it to. Like you could give it to a local medical place if they were treating people with opioid addictions. You could give it to them, but you would have to go into an interlocal agreement with them, and then we would be responsible for all of the paperwork associated with it. Yeah,
But if we decline it, it goes to the folks who accepted it. They get it anyway. So it's not like the company gets it back.
correct.
No,
No,
Counties
no,
who want to use it will get it.
yes,
It'll go into the pool.
Right.
Go back into the book.
And
yes,
if nobody ends up spending it, then they'll probably loosen the regulations and go again.
probably.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 17, this will be the creation of deputy clerk position. Chrissy?
Yes, sir. So on this one, the idea of having a deputy clerk has been thrown out for quite a while. It's needed administratively because it defines what Liz's responsibilities would be as a deputy clerk. What we're seeking from council tonight is to, if you guys choose to approve it, is to give us salary approval as well so that we can go ahead and implement this change.
Okay. The salary approval that you're requesting is between 40 and 48,000.
Yes, sir.
Any questions on this? Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve D17 to approve the job description and salary, I guess, for the deputy clerk job.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Last call for questions.
Yes. What, if it's gonna be approved to anywhere between 40 and 48,000, this particular position, what is Liz's salary now?
Chrissy, do you want to answer for her?
Yes, I believe it's 42 right now. I think. I don't know. Is Denise there? I can't see.
Denise is here.
Yes, I'm here. Currently, Liz is at 1942 an hour, which equates to 40,393.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none? Call a roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
motion passes.
And
Thank-
just for clarification, did we decide what the salary was going to be? I know I gave you guys a range.
We approved it between 40 and 48, so that will be your decision.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that.
Item number 18, finance updates. Melody?
You have the preliminary taxable value received from the property appraiser's office. It's about 6.6% more than it was last year. We'll get our final taxable value sometime in July.
Okay.
And then you also have your monthly finance report.
Very good. Any questions?
No.
Seeing none. Item number 19, attorney updates.
Yeah, so with regard to Form 6, I don't know if anybody's already filed their form. It was Form 1, correct?
Filed Form 6, because I thought there was a deadline of July 1st, right?
Yeah, but when did you file Form 6?
Isn't that the new one that we were supposed to file?
They changed it. It was the new one, but it got changed.
Yeah,
know
and I did it
because
before
called
that.
them.
You did it before that. Okay, all right. Well, that's fine. You don't have.
So I don't have to do one.
No, you're fine. They made that point in the Ethics Commission letter.
Okay.
So anybody else, when you go on, and you should see Form 1, it's the only alternative you have to do it, because they said that they changed it last week, or the week before that.
Yay me for being on time.
Sorry about that. I did, as soon as I got the word that it was done, the same day there was, the injunction was filed, I sent out an email to all the clerks, to get with you all immediately, but it was already too late for you,
It was.
unfortunately. So Form 1, haven't heard anything more since that, so I will stay that way, and they'll work their way through the court and see if it sticks, or whether you do Form 6 next year.
And then it got extended to July 15th versus July 1st.
Yep.
The filing deadline.
Anything else? Seeing none, city manager report.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So first thing, Jean Jordan resigned from the Planning and Zoning Board during its June 11th meeting. Currently, we have Terrence Wills serving as an alternate. We will need to post that vacancy on our website and get the word out. Next thing, we had a motor broke on one of the air conditioning units at City Hall. We were able to repair the motor. We are also having issues at the fire department as they lost one of their air conditioning units. Currently, Finance Director Sauer Hafer is working on covering the expense through the fire station hardening grant. So hopefully we can get some good news on that. Jason has been in communication with FDOT concerning the outdoor seating. FDOT is looking into an approval process for permits, and there will be more information forthcoming on that. Just a quick bid update, RFP number 24-04, that was for the development and sale of city-owned property at 101 West Main Street. It closed on June 5th, and we had no bid responses. And then my final update, BCO's Juneteenth celebration was canceled because of weather. Arnold Wilson is asking that the city council allow him to reschedule this event for this upcoming Saturday, June 29th. So I'd like some instruction on how you'd like to proceed with that.
Is anyone opposed to them doing it on June 29th?
No. Oh,
No one is opposed.
no.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Anything else for the good of the city?
I have something, Mayor. I'm not exactly sure what's the name of the church. You know, you have my brother's church, you have the parking lot, and then you have the next church, right?
Okay.
He reported to me, I had a meeting there, and he reported to me that there is a drain that is clogged in front of the church. And it's pooling in front of the church when it rains, and the members cannot go into the church because it's pooling there. He said there's a drain that's running from the parking lot, right at the edge, when you enter the parking lot from Main Street. Right there's a drain, and that drain run under the sidewalk,
Okay.
not across the road, but under the sidewalk in front of the church.
Okay.
And that he had one of his church members to go inside the drain and to try to reach as far as they can underneath
Yep.
to try to unclog it.
I'll not do that.
Yeah, and I'm just telling you what it said. And they only brought out so much of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still clogged, and they would like the city to put their attention on it.
Jason will
Because-
take a look at it. He loves that sort of thing.
Cities.
If it's the cities.
Jason Atkinson, can you, what was the address on that, Councilwoman Taylor?
It's on Main Street.
Yeah, I don't know the
It's-
exact
it's-
address. It's
it's
the old
sit-
Auto Light building. It's
Okay.
directly north of the Rotary building, post office.
All right, so those storm drains are FDOT. So I'll see if I can talk, but I'll see what we can also do. If there's something we can do, that's a quick fix, but the storm drains on that block are FDOT. But I didn't know, I was kind of confusing. We are doing a storm drain job on South Carolina by New Progressive Church. So
Mhm.
I wasn't quite sure. We're out there.
No, this one right here,
Okay.
Main Street.
Okay,
Is that
perfect.
the old theater? The old
Right,
theater?
next to the old.
Next to
Oh,
the
next,
theater.
okay.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'll take a look at it, and I'll reach out to FDOT. We did have a meeting with FDOT recently. They held a meeting with many different agencies, the police department, county, and we went over different things. So we've made some good contacts, and I'll reach out to their maintenance department and see what they can do for us.
Perfect.
Real quick, I have a question for you real quick. Did you do anything about the Circle Street at the end of Delaney and Circle Street, the drainage problem there?
Yeah, so we took a look at that. One of the issues that we have, we did clean that out. It's a very extensive system, and trying to get a good understanding. It has like cells built in. So to kind of get the more filtration that you have in stormwater, the more likely it is to get clogged up. It's better for the water, but then you have to maintain it. You have to go in, figure out what was actually built. So we did get a whole set of plans, but even understanding the plans, you have like three 6-inch pipes. It looks like that goes down and just has some plastic on top. Like to make it out.
You know, right on the lake.
Yeah, right on the lake. So trying to make this out the way their water quality, it is it's difficult to understand. But one of the problems that we also saw is that there's a palm tree, Areca palm, that's there kind of blocking the station. Well, those palms and the palm roots of there's a sable palm there as well, has made its way into the storm drain. So I'm going to have to pull those out likely, but then it's going to open it up, and then it's like the lesser two evils, but drainage is very important. So we're likely going to have to get that out of there, just inspect the pipes, but it'll likely be with physical effort, taking a look at it and see, because we can see on the inside, but that's what that's from. It was from root intrusion. So we did clean it out. We had assistance from Frostproof. They came in while our back truck was down, and we did take a look at it. And I ride by there every once in a while just to see how it's puddling. But
You're asking a lot of that drain. That's a lot of water that goes to one spot. But those underground basin systems are garbage. It was never going to work from the get-go.
yeah, it's difficult. So
Engineers told us that, but hey,
Well, it comes from all the way down 3 streets, so.
yep. Well, they built the same system in Sebring and it had the same exact issue. So
And the actual catch basins, they were clean when I went out there. They look really good. It was just all the pollution control structures that are built throughout. There's several layers like that's not even visible to the eye. So thank you.
very good. Anything else for the good of the city?
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
I have Raven Jefferson on. She would like to speak.
Okay.
The enough is enough.
That was approved on the consent agenda. It was the event request.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is she aware of that?
Okay, no, first, good evening, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm at work, so I missed my name being called. And just wasn't sure if anyone had any questions about the event this year.
No, ma'am. I think it's great.
All right, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All
Have a
right.
good night.
You as well. There's nothing else for the good of the city. You entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Make it quick. My kids need to go to sleep. Come on.
I turned in a sheet. Anyway,
What's up?
I did turn in a sheet. I just wanted to request having the chamber membership of 550, which is a mission partner level, come out of the general fund.
Did you say it was a line item?
Yeah, it is a line item.
How
and
much?
It's in for 100, but we can take money from another line item.
Yes, no, maybe so. What's the board think? Okay, do we have a motion to that effect? Do we have a second? Any questions? Seeing no questions, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure? Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank
Look forward
you.
to long, lengthy partnership.
All right. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Seeing no opposition, we are adjourned.